Hi there, you're welcome back to my channel. If you are new to this channel, you are highly welcome as you have come to the last bus stop of your search for a perfect tutorial for your quests and needs. Also, to our supportive subscribers, thank you for always coming back to grab the value that this channel offers. Are you new to tech, or you are looking at pick up a career in tech, or you have wanted to become a proficient REACtjs developer? This course is perfectly for you. In this tutorial, I gently demystify the core of React, and at the end of this tutorial, you should be able to use the knowledge gotten from this channel to create your own project or get a junior React developer job. Therefore, one thing you should do is to watch the video from A to Z because each timestamp of this tutorial counts a lot. Hence, sit back and hone your skills. Take a cup of coffee. Let's get started. Table of content. This course is split into 3 parts. Part A, Part B, and Part C. So, in Part A, we're going to be looking at what you will learn and build in this tutorial or this course. What is React? What exactly is React? And why should or would you use React? Traditional and modern website. Server-side and latency, which means the time that the server responds to client request. Then we're going to be looking at vanilla JavaScript versus REACtjs. Understanding imperative and declarative style of programming. Demonstration of vanilla JavaScript application. Understanding the concept of SPA, that is single page application. That will be the end of Part A. Then we're going to be looking at Part B. Let's set up our environment. Then we're going to set up our environment for React application. Then see our first React project in the browser. Demystify your first React application. And also, we writing all the file ourselves. The default file generated for us by React tool that help us to create the React application. We're going to write all this file ourselves. So write all from the scratch. That will be the end of Part B. Then Part C, we're going to be looking at how to create and nest components, which is the backbone of React. How to add markup and styles. How to display data on a web page. How to render conditions and lists, which are core of every dynamic website. How to respond to events and update the screen. Events such as clicking event, drag, scroll. These are events. And how to share data from one component to the other. That is data sharing. So all of this we're going to be learning in this best React tutorial in the world, from zero to hero. So let's look at what we are going to be learning and build. Here is the list of the application that we are going to be building in this tutorial. Are you excited? Yes, of course you are. So you're going to be creating ticket generator. Are you having party coming on your way? You can create a ticket for it and give to as many you want them to attend your party. Or you have a friend who wants to do a party, you can do the same. Generate tickets and use tickets to access the event. Basic calculator, you're going to create that. To-do list that will help you manage your time. To-do list, we're going to be creating that also. Contact list, we're going to be creating contact list. How to take track of our contacts as we have it on our phones. So we're going to be creating also portfolio. And creating this portfolio, you'll be able to create your portfolio to showcase your skills to the potential employee. You will be able to put up your own portfolio and host it. Are you excited? You'll be able to host it online, and people, you can share your link with everyone, your loved one, the people who want to employ you, and see your skills in action. And finally, we're going to be working with API, which is the very core of every dynamic application. This is very, very essential to land you a job. Know how to work with API is very, very essential. You as a front-end developer, you will communicate with the back end to satisfy user wants and help organization to reach their goal. So, without further ado, let's get started. What is React? To answer the question of what and why, we're going to be considering the definition gotten from React.js official website. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is the programming language that is used to manipulate HTML documents. Library is a collection of related codes to perform a specific task. And what is user interfaces? User interface or UI is everything a user sees on a web page, like what you are seeing on YouTube currently now. React.js is a library, and to be precise, is a client-side JavaScript library. That is, JavaScript programming language script that runs on a client machine or system. JavaScript is used on client-side, that is, the browser, to manipulate web pages after they must have been loaded. This enables developers to build highly interactive user interfaces for the web. One of the advantages of using React.js is that we don't need refresh web page to see its content updates. By this, we as developers use it to keep the experience of our web's users nice and fun. By implication, the latency, which is the times to response to client request, is brought to a minimal or of no significant level. Why do we use React? From the previous slide, when interacting with traditional websites, you click on an anchor tag on the web page, and then you will have to wait for a new page to be loaded. Because as a client, you are making requests to a server that is located somewhere else in the cloud. And this server also responds to your request. Else, it tells you page not found. So the time for the server to respond to your request is what we refer to as latency. Understanding imperative and declarative style of programming. That's the problem JavaScript solved, since it can be used to manipulate HTML document without making any request for a new web page from the server and wait for its responses. However, using only JavaScript won't be enough because its logic implementation follows a style called imperative, which can be cumbersome and tedious. Hence, we use React instead of JavaScript alone. That allows us to focus on what we want to see rather than how we want to implement what we want to see. Therefore, this style is referred to as declarative. Okay? We're diving into coding now. In order to appreciate the solution React.js brought us, we were going to be walking through JavaScript, HTML, CSS by using them to create a website, which in turn we are going to be using React and see how optimized, organized, and fast React.js solution could be. Now let's open our text editor. On my system, I have Visual Studio Code installed. So that's the text editor I'm going to be using. Other text editor you can use are Atom, Brackets, Sublime Text, and etc. But for this tutorial, we're going to be using Visual Studio Code. Here is the Visual Studio Code window. At the left-hand corner, I have the Explorer pane. Here I have a folder created called JavaScript. Inside this folder, I'll be creating 3 files: HTML file, CSS file, and JavaScript. At the side of this JavaScript folder, we have new file. So you can click on that new file, prompting us to put in the name. So we're going to be putting index.html. That's the HTML file, the structural part of our website. Then let's create this CSS. We call it index also, .css. That is the styling part of our website. CSS means cascading style sheets, while HTML means hypertext markup language. Then the JavaScript, index.js, meaning JavaScript. So the first file we're going to be working on is the HTML. Let's create the boiler code. HTML have the structure of HTML. You wrap it inside the HTML. It has the head and the body. In case you don't have IntelliSense to bring out the boilerplate, you can type out this yourself. Inside the head section, we have the title, where the title of our website lives. So let's call this demonstration. Also, let's see what we have created on our browser. So to run it, I have an extension here, Go Live. If you don't know how I get this extension, at the left-hand corner of the Visual Studio Code, we have an extension icon. Click on it, but make sure you have your system connected to the internet. Search for Live Server. You will install this Live Server, then you'll be able to have access to Go Live. Or, either way, click on the HTML file and hold your Control down on Mac OS. On Windows, hold your Shift and click on the file. Or on the window, right click on the file, you will see Open with Live Server. Clicking on Open with Live Server, it opens up browser where your file will be displayed. Let's wait for it. It has opened. Good. Can you see it now? So we have the title demonstration. This is all where the head metadata and all shows, or the title, the Falcon image. This is where it shows. But currently now we don't have the Falcon image on our website. We only have this default icon. So in the body section we have nothing yet. And to look at the structure, to look at our website, to inspect our website, you can come here where we have the three dots. Click on it, go down to more tools. I suppose the same on Windows as well. Then click on developer tools. Here we have access to tools that can help us to inspect our website. The first icon we have here is select an element in the page to inspect it. So clicking on it, you can see when I hover on top of this place, I have the body at the left bottom corner of the screen. We have the body. Can you see? We have the weight and the height of the button, the color of the text. We have the font size, which is Times New Roman, and the font size, which is 16 pixel. We have the margin, 8 pixel. So seeing all of this, it means by default, there is what? A margin. So let's remove the margin in a second. To do that, we remove margin in CSS. We make our code to be modularized. That is separation of all of these technologies into different folders. What we just need to do is to link them together in a place. So to remove the default margin, let's use star. So type in margin, put 0. Then let's go back to our web page. You will see we still have what 8% margin in the body section. So how do we make sure that this work on the HTML? Navigate to the HTML, that is, open the HTML file, which is this. Inside the head section, this head, the open and tag, beneath the title, now we are using external way of styling by creating external CSS. So how do we now link the external to the HTML? We use a tag called link. Link. So this link is a self-closing tag that takes in attributes href. And href take in the part of the CSS. And since the CSS is in the same folder with our HTML, what we need to do, we should just put the name of the CSS. That's it. We can equally set the type of this file. So to set the type, we use rel equals to style sheet. Okay, now let's go back to our browser and see the margin removed. Okay, let's inspect. Click on this. Can you see now? The margin has been removed. Now we have the default color to be black and the size of the text 16 pixel, and the type of the font type or font family is Times New Roman. So let's try and put something inside the body section to see it displayed. So go back to the text editor. Go back to the text editor and put in, let's say, H1. We are not here to teach HTML, but to just demonstrate to appreciate the solution REACTjs brought to us. So let's say hi world and let's go to our browser. There we have it. Can you see now? The default color of the body is black. Can you see? Shows the black. And now when you hover on top of this element, it selects that element H1 and gives us the information about the content therein. Then we have the color to be black and the font size to be 32 and the font family is Tiny Roman. Accessibility, we have the contrast of A and 21. We have the name, which is I, word. Then the row is heading. The H1 is heading. So let's continue. Let's go back to the text editor. Now let's create a div. Div is a block element in HTML. So inside the div, we are going to be putting a paragraph. To learn React, you have to be patient. Why? Because so we're going to be having a JavaScript that will help us to complete this statement. Let's check our browser and see. To learn React, you have to be patient. Why? Because so we're going to be putting a button that will enable us to read the full text. Then we say read more. Read more. Here we have it. So let's give this a class. Let's call it card and add a style to it. The body, let's target the body hang tag. Border. Good. It takes the 100% of the screen. Okay. Let me set it. Height. 100 view height. The width of the screen of the body, 100% view width. So it takes 100% view width. Let me close this. Developer 2. It takes the 100% width and 100% height. And also, to make sure there is no overflow, let's set the box sizing to border box. Good. Now inside the body, now let's target this container called card in the HTML file. To target that, since it's a class, we start with dot. Then you call the name of the class mean cards. Card. The width, let's set the width for that. Width fits content. Also, let's put border so as to enable us to see what we are doing. Then later we'll remove it. Red. Good. Now let's centralize this state. Let's put it at the middle or this side as well. Let's say padding or margin. Margin right and top. Margin left 3 rems. It pushes it away from this place. The margin top 5 rem. Good. So let's put padding. Padding is the space between the container itself. 2 rem. Can you see? Now let's set a background color for the body. Gray. But let's set a light gray and put some opacity. Good. And now we can remove this border. Good. Then for the border, we can equally remove it. But before then, let's add some styles to it. Border radius makes the angles to be a curved one. You can reduce it, you can increase it. You can increase it, you can reduce it depending on the choice or the design you have. Then this word, let's space them. Let's add some styles to it. So I'm going to be fast at this. To target the paragraph inside this body, we have the paragraph inside the card. So to target this paragraph, you start with the name of the class. Then you put P, which is the paragraph. Then now we can say margin bottom. So it will enable space between this button and itself. Let's say 2 rems. Can you see that? Good. Let's now target the button. The button inside this card, we say card and button. Then the width, the padding, let's put padding, space within the body. Now to put space in between, within the button, we use padding, and that's put space within the button. Also, let's change this cursor to pointer. Cursor behavior called pointer. So instead of arrow, we have a hand. Good. All right. Okay, let's add some other thing. Outline. We set it to none. Border. We set it to none as well. We do have that. Then background. Let's set it a background for that. Background color. We have black. Let's set it to black. And the text. Don't forget, when we examine the body initially, we have the default color to be black. And that is why the text and the background blends together. So to change that, we change the color to white. Then we'll save it. Okay. Now, our intention is when we click on this, we should have the other content overlay pop up and show the content of this. So let's set the background also so as to remove this border. If I remove the border here now, you won't be able to see where this is lying. And that is why I want to put background color. So background color, let's set it to gray. So we have a light gray. Let's equally increase that. Good. And the color, the paragraph color, let's change it to white as well. I believe it's readable. Let's increase the font size. 24 pixel. Good. So we have this. Now this is the work of HTML, CSS. Now let's use JavaScript to create overlay and the model. To do that, Going to JavaScript, let's first of all use a default method called alert to print hello world. Hello world. So if you go back to our browser, when you refresh, it's supposed to pop up and show hello world, but nothing happened. Why? Because we are here to link it to our HTML file. So to do that, inside the body section, before the closure of the body, use script. It's a self-closing tag as well. Script, you can use self-closing, or let's open and close tag. So we are using this tag to link JavaScript file to HTML. So inside the open tag of script, we type in src, which means source, where it's coming from. As we have for the CSS, we use ref, but for the JavaScript, we use src, and the path where the file is, since the file is also in the same folder with the HTML, what we need to do is to just type the name of the file, .js, and that's all. Now let's go back to our browser and refresh. Then you see hello world. Congratulations. Now, having linked all these technologies together, let's use JavaScript. When click on read more, we want to pop up an overlay and modal to show the whole statement of the reason why we need to be patient in learning React. So, since we have linked this, let's go back to the JavaScript. We're going to be creating a function called create overlay. Create overlay. To create overlay, we want to create div at a fly using JavaScript. So to do that, we declare a function cost. That's a keyword in JavaScript. Then we are creating div. Div is equals to document dot create element. Then in here we set the name of the element we are creating. So we are creating div. So inside this div is going to be having a paragraph that will help us show the whole statement of this comment. So here we create another element cos p paragraph. So document dot create element, and the name of the element is called the p paragraph. So the paragraph, we have the content. So the paragraph, we have text content equals to what we want to show, which is this. Put it in here. Let's copy it again. Copy. Then here we paste it. So why? Because React is powerful and fun in using. So let's just use that word. It uses components component based block to build its application. Full stop. So this is what we want to show. So we have one, first and foremost, we created a div. Also, we created a paragraph element wherein we want to display this text, this content. Now, to display that inside the div.append. What are we appending? The P. Then to now append the main div to the body, we call the body, say, document dot get query selector. We supply the name of the tag, which is the body, dot append. So what are we appending? The div. So now let's call this function inside the HTML. So this function is going to be called as a user click on this button. So we have click event listener. So inside this, we supply the name of the function, which is create overlay. So let's go back to our HTML file, our browser. When I click on this, can you see it shows this content? Let's inspect. Let's inspect our HTML. Can you see it here now? But the intention is to show its overlay. CSS here. We are going to be creating, div is not here. It's inside what? We are using JavaScript to create that. So let's just create a class, then we'll use JavaScript to add that class to it. So here I call it overlay. Then position, absolute. Width, 100 VH. Height, the same thing, 100 VH. No, 100 width and 100 view width, 100 V height. Then background color, let's put black. Black. Background color, black. Background color, black. So let's add some opacity. Let's check. Good. So we have not added it yet. Also, now we have targeted the overlay. Now let's target the overlay paragraph. So I'm going to be calling it paragraph. So the paragraph, we have the width. Okay, before the paragraph, this overlay, let's set display to flex. Justify. Don't worry, soon you will know what we are trying to do. Justify, center. Align, content. Align items. Center. Good. So the width of this one is going to be let's say 50% of the parent's weight, and the height is going to be, let's give it 20 rems or 10 rems. Why we give this to, let's give this 30 rem. Rem is a unit of measurement. So let's set the background color to be white, and text color, that's color, is black. Good. So we're going to be using JavaScript to add that. So the overlay will be for the div, and the paragraph will be for the P we created here. So for the dev, we had the class to rate. We say dev plus class list dot add. What is the name of the class we are adding? We are adding overlay class. Check again. Overlay. Good. For the P, we are adding P dot class list dot add. That will be para. So let's go back again and click. Good. Can you see now? It popped up. But however, the intention is to be on top of this div. So what do? Come back to this place inside the CSS, inside the body, put position, and position should be relative. Let's refresh. The relative. Now, having set body to relative, come down to this overlay and set the top Z index should be above any other element. Also, top should be 0. That is, it moves it up. Can you see that? And also, the left, 0 as well. So let's inspect. Why is it not going up? So HTML, okay, let's remove the body. Let's remove this position from the body. So it will take the relative position of the HTML itself. Now we have it. Can you see? So let's refresh this and click on the button. Can you see? That's overlay. Let's add some styles to it as well. That's para. Padding within the paragraph. Then let's put border radius 0.5 rem. Good. Then let's put a button to close it, after which we have read the statement. Can you see? You can't click on this again. Okay. Now let's add buttons to this as well. Inside the JavaScript again, we create a button. Cost button is equals to document dot create element. Then we'll put the name of the element we want to create, which is button. So this button inner inner HTML is equals to close. Okay. Okay, I agree. So that will be the text on the button. So we are adding this to this. We are adding this to this. So we are adding this to, let's create another div that will help us, because if you are to add this to the div we have here, look at what we are going to have. Let's see. Div.append button. If I click on this, you will see the button here. Can you see? So what we want to do now is to put the button in here. So to achieve that, let's create another div. So to create another div, I'm going to be calling that inner div is equals to document.create element, called the div. Okay. Now this div is going to be the one to house other div, other content. So to do that, instead of adding our paragraph inside the major div, I'm going to be putting it inside this other div, that's inner div. Can you see it now? And so also this as well, inner div. So both of them will be inside inner div. If you go back again, I click, you won't see anything. You only see overlay. Now, this inner div is going to be put inside, append inside the what? The div, the previous div. That's inner div now is going to be appended in there. So let's see. Can you see it now? So we have the button, but however, let's make it look good. So this para now, instead of giving this para, I'm going to be giving it to this div. So what I will do now is to remove that in the P to inner div. So let's go back and click again. Can you see it now? Both of them are inside this. So let me set a gap in between this and also put a style on this particular button. So to do that, let's go back to CSS. Let's change this to inner div. Inner div. Then change it from here to inner div so that we will not be confused with the naming div. Then let's equally add display flex. By default is row. So if I click on it now, you can see its display flex is row by default. So we are changing it to if you want it to be a column, what you do is to change the flex direction to column. So you see that. But however, I think we can leave it on horizontal. So what we are going to do here now is gap between the two elements. So we have the gap now. So let's set this button. Let's make sure the button occupies this word. I agree. So let's set that. Let's say agree. Which side fits content? Let's make it descriptive. Agree button. Fit content. Background. Background color. Background color, transparent. And outline, none. Border, none. So let's see. Nothing happens because we have not added the class to it in JavaScript. So let's do that here. Where is our button? This is the button. Then we say button dot class list dot add is equals to agree button bnt. Good. So let's go back to our browser and click. Yes, we have it. So, but we want it to occupy, let's give it a width of width. Okay, meaning width is feet, right? Good. So let's go back to the inner div. Now let's go back to the inner div. Instead of setting a fixed width for this, let's make it to fit the content and see what will happen. Yeah, fit the content. Can you see? It adjusts to the content, but however, it's too much. So let's set it back to our 30 pixel. So what we are going to do now, we are going to reduce the padding to 1, or let's leave it 1. Let's just put some style. Let's set this button. Let's give it a fixed width, 100 pixel. Let's put padding. Let's put border, 1 pixel, solid and red. Let's see what's happening. Good. So the width should be, let's say, 200 pixel. Good. We are increasing it now. So I just want to be done. All right. So let me remove the padding here. Then put contain content so that all the content goes in there. Then the button, let's change the cursor behavior as well to pointer. Good. So instead of arrow, we have pointer now to close the modal when we are done. Okay, now let's remove this to none. Good. And this other two, let's equally give it a power p. Let's set a property for that as well. Padding 2 rem. Good. So let's add that also to the p. For the p dot class list dot add the para. Now let's click on that. Can you see it now? We have it here. This has adjusted again. So let's increase the width of the inner div from 30 to 40. Good. So to make sure that this is a button, let's set the background color to black. Background color to black and color to white. So when you click on this button, you want to close this modal. Okay, let's put this also, centralize it. Let's centralize that. Display, flex. This will enable us to apply align property. center. Good. So I think we have what we need now. Also, you can equally say justify. That is, justify, align our content horizontally to the center or wherever you want it to be. Center. So we can't see that because of this, what we have here. Justify content center. Good. Yes. Now we can remove this since it has no effect on it. However, we can actually check. Let's put border and see where it's occupying. 1 pixel, solid, and red. You will see now it's actually at the center. But however, you can use text align center. That centralized the text. Can you see it now? So we can remove this. Good. You can see this simple thing. We use the whole. All right, we have not done yet. We are not done yet. We are to equally close this modal. When we click on this, we should close it and show us this. So how do we do that? Let's say, let's set a property dot property dot, let's call it close, display none. So this display close won't show anything on the browser. When we want to add that class to our overlay, by the time we click on it, it should add that class, then it disappears, then it shows us this. So that is what we want to do. So let's do that now. Going back to, we have declared the property to be closed and the displays to be none. So let's add an event listeners to what? To this button we created, this particular button. So let's come down here and create a function. Let's call it function close overlay. It's a function. So close overlay. Then let's target the name of this div. The class is called what? We search for it. You know, we are adding a name called what? Overlay to this div, which is the overlay class. So we are going to be searching for it inside the document. We search for it inside the document. Let's search for it, query selector dot overlay. We are asking for that. Then we say dot class list dot add. So we want to add this class to it called close class. This is the class in CSS, so that it removes it from our page. So this does not make any request to the server. It's within the browser that all these things, manipulations are happening. So now we have added that. So how do we now make it work? Because now it will not work. We have not added this to this button. So to do that, inside this function create overlay, our button name is what? This is the button. We had event listener. You say dot add event listing now. Add event listener. So we call the name of the event. It takes two arguments. It takes function and the name of the event name. Okay? So the event name we want to use there is what? Click. So you type in click is a string value. Then the function we want to ask to read is what we have declared here, which is close overlay. So just type in that the function name, close overlay. Good. Now let's go back to our browser and check that out. Click. So when I click on it, it's expected to close the overlay. Let's see. Good. Can you see it now? Good. So you can see now it's not coming up, except maybe I refresh. That can work again. Can you see? If I click again, it won't work. Why? Because if you examine our browser here from here, you will see we have overlay closed, but we have another overlay without close. But however, since the close is there, it won't do anything. So that is why we need to go back here. So meaning by default, when we create this div, this particular overlay, let's remove the class close from it, from the div. So you come here, where is the div? What if we do it this way? Let's check for the body. Then we say remove overlay. We are removing overlay class. Okay, remove document. Let's search for that document. Document.query selector dot overlay. So we are removing it. Let's see. Good. It removed all. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's ask question dot class list dot contain. Let's check if it contains the closed class. Okay, now let's see that in action. So if it contains the closed class, we want to remove it. Remove. Else, we want to add. So I think we should remove it from here too. We've done that before. No. So we say inner div dot class name. That is where we had overlay. Class. On creating this, we don't want to have close. Excuse me. That's div dot class list dot remove close. Good. So let's check it out now. So we have it at the fly. We have overlay. When I click on this, let's see. When I click on this, let's see what is the error. Contain is not. Oh, it's actually contains, not contain. Okay, good. Then since it's that, let's do that again. Click on this. Can you see it added it at a fly? So if I click on this again, it should remove it. But however, we still have one showing here. So meaning we are going to be removing it from the body. We append this to the body. So we need to remove it. Let's say dot remove element with the class name overlay. Let's see. Remove element is not a function. Remove element. Remove okay, let's do it this way. Yeah. Now, what we want to do now is to close this modal. Close the modal. Remove the modal. So to remove it, we just say remove overlay. That's the name of the class. So that's what we're going to be using. I think this is better. So we have add overlay. Let's check that out. Yes, we have it. It's added on the fly. When I click on this, it should remove it. It's showing all of this as well. So we need to remove them also. Can you see? That is why we call it imperative style of programming, meaning you have to state each step that you want, to achieve your purpose. So you remove all of this as well. So let's do that. Let's search for, we have removed overlay. We need to remove inner as well, inner div. What's the name we call it? Inner div. Then we remove the inner div. So let's see what will happen there. Let's check that out first. Click on read more. Oh, I agree. To learn React, you have to be patient. Why? Because it's powerful and fun in using. It uses component-based block to build its application. So click on that. Can you see it removes? So we have to remove all of this as well. So can you see how interesting this can be? So let's remove this as well. Let's remove this. Let's say copy paste.
Then the name of this is para. Then remove the para also from it. Para.
Then the other one is the button. The name of the button is called agree underscore btn. We are removing that as well. So let's check that out. Good. btn. Can you see it now? Let's go back and do the same. Yeah, good. It appends this to the body. Then when I click on this button, okay, I agree that to learn React, it takes patience. Okay, now if I click on it, it disappears and this also remains. Why is this still showing? We need to remove it completely. So how do we go about doing that? Okay, let's say document dot query selector body dot remove child. Can we use that? Let's see. Overlay. Let's see. Good. Okay, let's check something out here. Document dot query selector dot query selector body. So let's check what we have here. The body. Then from the body, let's check dot append. We have append child. So we want to remove one of the children of the body. That's what we want to do. Let's check the function that we can use to do that. You can see how tedious this could be. Class name, node, clone node. No, we are not cloning node. We want to remove element node. Is there anything like R? Remove child. Is there? So let's check that out. Remove child. So what do we expect to put in there? Let's check what we need to put. The child we need to remove. Div. So let's do that. It's not divine. So div is not divine. Let's overlay node. Okay, document. Let's try that. Document dot query selector overlay. It works. Correct. So we are going to remove it, use this key, use this code. Now let's paste it in here so you can see how tedious that could be. So let's remove that. This is what we want to remove. We want to remove the child. Search for the child. And what is the name of the child? You know, we created it using JavaScript, and the name of the overall child, which is the dev, is called overlay. So searching for that, it returns it as an object, which is the child to what? This body. Then it removes it. So let's go back again and refresh. We are demonstrating JavaScript and HTML, CSS. So now we are done. Let's see what that we have now. So let's go back to element. Can you see? Now when I click on OK, I agree, it removes it. So it worked perfectly well now. Okay, can you see it now? It worked as we wanted this to work. Okay. So now let's close this. Now that is the end of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what we created now, can you see? This is the imperative style of programming, meaning you have to state each line. You first of all create an element, then you assign the value you want it to have. You assign the class, you add the class to it, and all and all. And for us to just create, just overlay. Can you see overlay and close it? It takes us how many lines of code? 26 JavaScript line of code. CSS, it takes us we don't actually use this. It takes us 74 lines of code, and for HTML, it takes 13 lines of code. And this is the problem that React.js help us solve. So without further ado, we're going to get into the React proper. So that is it for the JavaScript, the demonstration of JavaScript and HTML example. So that we're going to be replicating it as well in React.js. Then you appreciate the solution it brings us. All right, let's the slide show. Okay, the next thing is understanding React building blocks that enables single page application, meaning Spark. Are you ready?